All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we've got an amazing guest here today. Lloyd J. Ross, thank you for jumping on, mate.
Well, of course, my pleasure. Happy to be here and you know, chatting and sharing hopefully some wisdom,
Yeah, yeah, and
advice to
and
others.
yes, and the reason I suppose I would love everyone to watch this and leave a comment and encourage Lloyd. On his journey. Not that he needs it. Yeah, that's not true. But mate, I want to. You've just had an amazing, successful journey since we met. I mean, you already had an amazing journey. You already had successful online businesses before the pandemic, which was, mate, you were like 10 years in front of most of the people after going through 4 degrees.
Yeah.
Successful marriage, your health, you had it all, and then we hooked up. And I mean, tell us a little bit about that. I want to focus on since we've met, but can you just
Sure.
make
Look, you could say that I mean, I thought I was doing all these things that were super effective, but I couldn't
yeah,
see any blind spots or I couldn't see any areas that I could improve on. And there's always this sort of like whisper in my heart or my head saying, there's probably more in you, but I just didn't have the tools or the like. My biggest mentor at that point was my dad, my whole life, and I had really no one else to push me. And some other people would, but no one was really. I had no accountability to anyone to suggest I wasn't living a big life or living to my potential. So in my own eyes, I thought I was, and by all accounts, you could argue that I was because I had a successful business. I got out of 9 to 5, and we had a share portfolio, no debt, and happy marriage, and that was that.
yeah.
So yeah, it was good, but you know,
Fuck.
but I little did I know I was playing small,
Yeah,
and I couldn't see that.
yeah,
And there was a moment where I was speaking on stage, had an event, and you saw it, and then a couple of weeks went by and you sent me a message, and I'd seen you around the network that we're in, and so we caught up and had a coffee, and then you suggested we you know do some bit of boxing together, and but challenged me a little bit to do that with you, and I lent into that, and just over time getting to know you, you then I was able to explore the areas that I couldn't see for myself, that I was undeveloped, as you would say, undeveloped in.
yeah.
Because you can't see, I couldn't see areas. I thought I was fully developed in areas, but the reality is, there's areas that you can't see. That someone who like you didn't know me before then,
No,
and so you came in with a very objective set of eyes, having worked with so many men for so many years in so many walks of life, that it would have been. I've never asked this, but it would have been so obvious. you
well,
know, like
yeah,
it would have been
well,
obvious for you, and I, you know,
yeah. And I think, like, I mean, yeah, it's like like what you said, you didn't see the blind spot because all accounts said, man, you'd made it. You're on
yeah,
stage, man.
yeah,
You
yeah,
were,
yeah,
you had and for most of the world, but I suppose and I'm big. I can remember there was a couple of moments where you really responded to a challenge. You really responded when it got hard, but at the same time, literally, almost in the same hour, I would then see a talent that you had to serve others. You were like pushing hard, punching up, and then somebody would ask you a question, and you would start helping them with their finances.
yeah,
Like that just come out of you. It's like, man,
yeah.
it's like total opposite. You're punching them, and then you're helping them. That was a talent. I mean,
Love it.
the punching was work, but
Yeah.
to be able to serve and help,
Well, the punching part was a personal challenge of being
yeah,
under pressure, and a bit like a bit of a chess game and a game
mm,
of personal will.
Yeah.
is what it was. And I always have had fairly high level I always have wondered what I'm made of. And I think every bloke has that in him, thinking to himself, what are you actually made of?
Yeah.
Because if you grow up watching Rocky and stuff like that, you wonder to yourself, would I have the courage? What am I made of? And as you mentioned so many times, there's no easy way to identify if you do have what it takes because no one's challenged you before.
Yeah.
So I had been challenged by my dad in different things and other people, but only in areas that I knew quite well. Whereas the boxing was completely new, and not just that, it was there was other things as we went along that I'm sure we'll cover.
Yeah.
But
So what?
the reason why in all of us, there's this gift that we have that we think is not a gift because it comes so easy and simple to us all. And that's why it's difficult to identify because by all accounts, you think that everyone just has it. And until someone like you goes, you just boxing and then you just go and give them this value about this, and you like to serve people. Oh, that's interesting. And later on, as I rediscovered my faith, thanks to you, I learned about spiritual gifts and how we are all ordained with some sort of gift.
Yeah.
You've said to me, your gifts were how you could use your hands, and your gift was the boxing gift, and that's how you connected with men and helped them. And I had a gift of, just explaining complex things like money and finances in a simple way that was easy to understand. And it's like a gift that you don't realize. So I had a teaching gift,
Yeah.
and you had like a gift. You have a gift of, exhortation and probably evangelism and inspiring and encouraging. That's your gift,
Yeah.
right? So you saw it, but I didn't think it was a gift.
Yeah.
So I couldn't evolve it.
So what was, I suppose, a moment that it shifted then? Do you remember a moment?
Well, I was in your garage and I was talking to some of the guys after a session and helping them with some money stuff, and I think I helped two of your kids with their setting up their micro investing, and they loved it, and that worked for them. And think, that's so giving value without any expectation of anything in return. It was more just I like to give value. That was the first thing. I think what happened then was you picked up on that
Yeah.
because you're very observant of the men around, like very. It's a given talent that you're just so like you can see it, sense it, you just see it straight away. And your gift is to be able to tell that person that you saw it
Yeah.
and encourage them and challenge them to bring it out. And that's what you did with me, where we're at another different session and you had just written your first book, A Rite of Passage. And you said to me, mate, you got to write a book. Like, get your what's in here and in here into these pages. Because if I can do it, you can do it. Like, and you just knew it was there. But even though I knew it was there too, I no accountability.
Mm.
So I was like, yeah, I can. But then one day you said, well, and you announced to everyone, Lloyd's going to write a book and he's going to do it in 4 weeks or 2 weeks. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this in 2 weeks? But because that was a challenge and you laid it down, and as you said, I'm responding to the challenge. When a man challenges you in something that's good for you, you step up to the plate and do it, right? So my old man's so I wanted to do that because I wanted to be validated by you that I wanted to be in your circle and be. So I'm like, well, if that's a challenge, I will do it. And I think I did it in a month.
Yeah. Yeah. But
So
I can remember that. I remember vividly, actually. I remember the look on your face. It's like
well,
you
yeah, well,
20 minutes,
yeah.
the most motivational speech.
Uh,
And there's and can we give Lloyd a round of applause? He's about to write his first book. And
well,
you're like, oh, you bum.
yeah.
But mate,
I,
and that's probably what I knew. Like, I knew beyond any measure, mate, it would be amazing.
well, I don't know if I think you knew I would do my best at it because that's how I
Oh,
showed up.
yeah, I know, I knew it would be amazing.
But even so, I'll say this that whatever it is, it is. I mean, I'm sure it could be more amazing, but the bottom line is there was a challenge set. I hit a
Mm.
deadline because I had accountability from you and other
Yeah,
people, and
yeah,
without that, it would
Yeah.
never have happened. And you also walked the path first. So you kind of, yeah, you set it up and then you encouraged. And without that, there's no way there would have been a book.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I suppose, mate, like there would have been, I would imagine there would have been, remember the conversation when it took twice as long as the timeline that we set or I set, because I know you're so brilliant at it. What was some hard moments and some breakthrough moments in that first bit? Because I think of it like what paradigms all of a sudden, hang on, no, you're an author now.
Well, I tell you what it was. And this is what holds a lot of people back. This is what was holding me back, is I was waiting for the perfect time and also waiting to be ready. And also the, I'd say, lack of confidence to accept that I did have something to share and that it was important and that I didn't have to be like, I think I was waiting to be ordained as an expert before I started providing expertise.
Yeah,
And I don't know what I was waiting for or who I was waiting for permission for. And I think it was a permission thing. Like, you wait around for the thing you want to do, waiting for permission, like there's a big boss in the sky that's about to tell you what to do. And I think that's also what holds men back, is that they're waiting for this invisible permission. But
yeah,
what was great about it was your challenging me was the permission, and it was this whole like, listen, mate, no one's ever ready for anything. You're never ready. You just go do. And you do it the best of your ability, but you go and execute. Like you just go and do it. And when I saw you do yours and what you were doing, I saw you and being around you in close proximity, I was able to see how when you got an idea, you just go went and did it. You didn't, like even when we ran in the park, you didn't ask for permission of count. I'm just gonna go do this. And it's almost like you live in a world, from the early 1900s where there was no regulations. I think you still live in that world. So everyone else is waiting for permission. Are we allowed it? And you just go do. And I think that's what I learned from you the most was like, well, let's just go do this thing.
yeah.
Like, and I was never going to be the best at it straight away, but it didn't have to be because I was, 10 minutes ahead of the people I was teaching. So I think it was this whole notion of, I realized I don't have to be an expert before I'm an expert.
Yeah, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%, mate. That's helping some people. So, and I suppose what was like a surprise that like, we've all got these blind spots that we talk. What was something that was maybe better than you thought or maybe not as good or what?
A surprise. I would say that I came in for one thing and I just got so many other great things that I didn't anticipate. Like the way you think and talk, it rubbed off on me. So I stopped swearing as much. I rediscovered my faith from long conversations when we were training for an ultra. I also looked at men differently, as in like, not, I used to look at men more like, as from a competitive, like
Yeah,
combative approach. I just did. And what I learned, was I was able to look more into a man's soul and have a lot of, I would say, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I had a lot of empathy. Like, I could empathize with men. Like, I looked at them different. Like, as blokes who, had real, just goodness in them.
yeah,
And rather than look at them for like competition and there's another bloke over there, and you go, because I grew up going to parties with like, oh, there's a bloke, he's looking at me like this weird thing,
yeah,
and then just how you look at blokes, you look at them from like this heart space of like, oh, there's a good guy, I'm going to find the goodness in him,
yeah,
and most blokes that you talk to, they've got fears, they're scared, they're and you looked, and I now when I meet a bloke, I almost look at him as that. Not this aggressive, like, doesn't have to be every bloke conversation, doesn't have to be aggressive. And I guess I just started looking at blokes different. So now when I meet other men, man, I connect with them on such a different level, like completely different level. And I think it disarms them. It also then gives them permission to collaborate, but I just get on with blokes better.
Yeah, that's
I'd
good.
say, so that
Yeah,
was a surprise. And there's just so many other things like, I encouraging people.
yeah,
And I've learned from you to just words of encouragement help so many things. Like I had someone I was dealing with my own business, and I was inspired by that person. I said, "You inspire me." And they said, "Oh," and I ended up joining my because they just no one's ever told them that. So I guess it's what I learned. What was a surprise was all the amazing traits that you have and the standard you set and how you are. I was able to model that because I was close enough to you for long enough to do it. And you said to me something before that's always stuck with me, which is basically success is something that, like a virus, you've got to be around someone to catch it. Does that make sense? So
yeah,
I was catching all these other things off you that I
yeah,
never anticipated I'd get.
yeah.
And I get to deploy those same tools and thought processes that you deploy because I was around you for a long enough time to catch them.
Yeah, yeah.
That,
And
so that's what I got.
we always say some things are taught and some things are caught. And that's
Yes,
that proximity.
exactly.
You're right. And
Yeah.
and I suppose, mate, because it was an interesting, that first couple of years was quite interesting because I was changing, as we're always saying, we're growing, developing, never doing the same thing twice. From the Fight Like a Pro days, those big events, to the smaller events, more Fight Club, and then more getting into that. I suppose I realised that most men do a boxing program, but there's so much more. So, in many ways, that's really what we worked on. I felt with you was all the other stuff,
All the other stuff. Yeah.
who you
All the
had to
other.
become. So I mean, it's great because I remember there was a couple of moments. One of the moments I remember where your eyes went like you see a penny drop when when we were talking about starting another business. It's like, oh man, I don't know if I can do that. Oh, I'm good, And I was talking about who was it? Branson, wasn't it? About his Virgin, all
Yeah.
these different Virgin companies.
Yeah, it was like we were running along in Burley, and I had the business and everything, and you've seen certain skills and talents that I had that obviously I
Yeah,
wasn't using, deploying, and what's great about you is that when you see something, you're not afraid to tell the person, and you're also not afraid to poke him in the chest and challenge
yeah,
him to step up, and you do it
yeah,
in such a great way. It gets them thinking. So it got me thinking in my like I remember one day you pulled me up running and you said, "Can I just be honest with you?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." And you go, "You're undeveloped." And I was like, "Shit." What? And remember getting in the car with Alicia going, "Gavin said I'm undeveloped." And I just sat there for maybe 30 straight minutes wondering which area, where I'm going to work on it, what does that mean? What does that mean? And it just penetrated me. And over time, with those types of questions and observations that you're not afraid to share at the right time, is that the one that you're talking about is when you said, "Why don't you have another business?" And I said to you, "Well, I don't want to be busy." And you said to me something like, "When did you decide that having another business meant you had to be busy? There's other people out there that have 70, like Tony Robbins, I think you said had 70." And I was like, and it challenged my thinking
yeah,
and challenged me to step up to the plate and play bigger. And so I had to figure out in my own brain how I could do that without. So it was a challenge to step up and do it without the obstacles you think exist. And without being around you, there's no way I would have been challenged to do that. And that's what prompted me to write 2 more books and bring that out in me. And I remember with the second book, you were writing your second, and I thought, God, this bloke's just done one. He's already doing a second.
I, I remember that. I remember that conversation when I said, "Listen, I'm starting a second book." Yeah, oh no,
Well,
we just got.
I know, I just got through the first one. And that's interesting, isn't it? Because again, it was like, well, why does it have to be that hard?
Yeah,
I developed things in my business, you developed things in your business that dictated a second book made a lot of sense.
yeah,
And I remember where this time I was going to do it different. I was going to get someone to help me ghostwrite it a bit more
yeah,
because that's the path you're taking as well. And I thought that was working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And I was able to see that. Now, I didn't know how to do it, so I put on this ghostwriter, and I was terrible at how that's developed and how to do it.
Yeah.
And I remember she mucked me around for about 3 months and then gave me one paragraph about a month before it had to launch, and it was terrible.
Mm.
And I said to you, I was on the phone to you in the car, and I said, mate, you wouldn't believe it. You said, well, I said, the ghostwriter just completely dropped the ball. And now, my fault, because I didn't know how to develop a ghostwriter. So I took ownership and responsibility, and I remember telling you, being down like, oh, mate, I got a month. And you said to me, mate, Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky in one night. And I think it's those, like, the friendship and mentorship of, like, stop being a victim, step up to the plate, and put this in perspective for a second. Like, do you want to be on the same level as Sylvester Stallone or not? And if you don't want to, then you won't be. Like, so step up. And I think it was like, oh, yeah, he did. All right. And I went and I wrote this second book in like a month. Like, from start to finish, everything that's covered here. And it was like in a marathon moment to, like, and it's what you experience it's like, there's hard things to do. But the hard things are what shapes you, and you need someone like yourself to challenge you to do the hard things. So you challenge me to do the second thing, and then even with that paradigm shift of building more businesses, I share the whole story of that in the front of my third book. And even when writing that and doing that, in my mind, it's those little stories and challenges that you've made that have stuck with me. So I find that I rely on those things so much even now that it was shaped with working with you.
Yeah.
So when you talk about what did you get out of working with me and stuff that you didn't anticipate, it's the things you can rely back on over time that you did back then forever. So
And
I
I mean,
dig into those things all
yeah,
the time, those
like
tools.
that's one thing I want to say. Like the past Lloyd, who was nailing it in many areas, to now going, all right, I don't know, what are you, 4 or 5 businesses you're at now?
Four
3
business.
books. Yeah, just mate, just come back from a month in Thailand. I mean, like how I don't know, you're working on something else, like how was that impact now, like from then to now, a couple
Well,
of years later? And I should say, like that book produced another book, which we're talking, we're around just ticked over 5 million now. It's brought in.
yeah, more than that, I think even
Yeah,
now, and more in other businesses too. There could be
yeah,
like
yeah,
7 million something. I I think what comes from that whole experience is playing bigger and thinking bigger, but playing bigger. Not even just thinking, because everyone can think big, but playing big is different. And so, it's doing those harder things that led to another thing and another thing. Like throughout our experience together, it was not just the books. It was then what prompted me to say, well, why can't I start a podcast? And then it was prompted me to like, why can't we run a 100-kilometer ultra marathon? Why can't I rediscover my faith and get baptized with my wife? Why can't I have a bestseller? Like we published this third book and it went bestseller, and I asked you to do the forward in the book because your mentorship helped me so much. It was like, this is my way I can pay you back, and say, hey, but write the forward of the book, and you did such a good job of that you're now in there. But how has it had an impact is, I mean, it's immeasurable, really. Like
and the biggest
without
launch in Australia, the biggest book launch in Australia.
So yeah, so like with the third book, for example, part of working with you was like, well, I'm just going to speak something into existence. So when I was working with Jay and Adam to build the funnel to do it, I didn't just want to do an online launch. I thought, why can't we be the biggest in Australia? And I did some research and I realized that the biggest was like not that big, but no one had positioned it
Well,
like that.
mine are grown, so everything
Well,
starts to get smaller. As
yeah,
you get bigger, everything else gets smaller.
yes, that's right. So as I looked at it, I was like, well, that's not very big. We can do that. And I
Yeah,
started positioning it and marketing it as the biggest online book launch in Australian history.
yeah,
And by all accounts, we did it. And
yeah,
and it was just because I'm like, why not? Why not us? Why not us? Who
yeah.
else is out there? And I realized too, working with you, there's not a lot of people out there living boldly. There's
Mm.
not. Like,
No,
and you think there are, but there
mm.
truly aren't. And you
Yeah,
think that there's leaders in all walks of life, like in politics, but there just aren't.
yeah,
They just aren't. And so
yeah,
that was a discovery. I'm like, actually, very few people are actually playing a bigger game here
Yeah.
and putting themselves out there. And so with the book launch, we went off bestseller. We get a number one published bestseller in Australia. Went to number one or in 7 categories, and it went to number 25 of all Amazon books in Australia. Like,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
Mm.
But beyond that, when I did this physical launch too, it was like, well, had you and I have not done that launch together with our very first book that we pull it out of our butts, AFL Grand Final on a rainy Saturday, and we still had 100 people. So
That room, man.
had I not done that, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have had the experience to have arguably the greatest physical book launch event in Australia, which I feel like we had.
Yeah.
At the pinnacle, best room in the city. It was
Yeah.
on. And I just thought of all the things I've learnt over
Yeah.
the years working together. I'm like, let's just go big. And the things that have come from that are amazing. But if I can wrap it all up in terms of what it's done, without working with you and with that one message you sent me where we connected and we started working together on all these different things, and investing in that, I mean, I'd have one business. It would be, we'd be covering our bills probably. Really. And I think to myself, and I was success. So I can't imagine the cost of not saying yes to that. Like, it actually haunts me. Like,
Can
I
I
think,
because
yeah.
I vividly remember you telling me that your wife, who I loved a bit, said, "Well, why don't you do it with somebody else?" Yeah, do you remember that when she was saying I remember you telling me about doing you wanted to do the boxing, and she said, "Well, why don't you do it with somebody else?"
You mean what? Some other boxing person?
Another box, yeah. Don't you? I remember that. I remember that.
I don't. I don't recall that. I
Yeah,
I don't recall
because
that. Did she say that?
because I was already enrolled in the nutrition and what have you. She said, "Why don't you do it with somebody else? And then you can do.
Oh, oh,
It'll be a business opportunity as
oh,
well."
yeah.
Yeah, and I
I think
thought,
that's
what?
the
Because
upgrade.
a lot of people they don't get the full picture, so they get talked out of it.
Well, it's not
Yeah,
even that.
realize.
Well, it's not that. I'm very good at following my gut,
Yeah.
and so
Well,
when
lucky you did.
it well, it's one of those things where it was like, I had a feeling that this was put in front of me, and I just felt that, and I just knew. So to invest the money and step up to the plate was not a difficult decision, and it was, and I didn't. I'm one of these blokes that doesn't ask permission from my wife
Yeah,
to do things. I ask, hey, what do you think about this? Let me
yeah.
run this by you. Like, to get feedback, because I want buy-in from my spouse of what
Of
I'm
course.
doing. But I
Yeah,
don't ask, can I do this, my wife? Like, what?
yeah, yeah,
I want to get buy-in. So I said, listen, something's come up. Let me run this by you. This fella, he wants me to do this. I'm thinking about doing it. What do you
yeah,
think? And so, well, if you want to, if you want to do it, so what? You're just trying to get a bit of buy-in. And I've
yeah.
done that with my wife Alicia all the way through because they're your life partner,
Of
and
course.
you want them to be committed to the same process. Because as you go on a training session, you want them to encourage you and support you what you're doing. But without question, I'm not a bloke that needs permission to
No,
invest in the things, but I want buy-in from my spouse.
100%.
And it wasn't. I was going to do it anyway, but I wanted her to see what I saw. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
And I
But it
think,
was just good to hear what she has to say, like you
of
say,
course,
because
yeah,
a lot of men get talked out of stuff or talked into stuff,
yeah. But
and then even I suppose like I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It's good I think it's a good topic to bring up the investment versus the cost. Because I
well,
love
here's
when people say, "What's it going to cost?" So it's going to
well.
cost you your old thinking. It's going to
Oh
cost
my
you your
God, I
old,
couldn't. Well, it would have cost me. Just the money would have cost me 7 or 8 million, like
yeah,
7 million.
yeah, yeah.
And
Oh,
that's just one thing. But I think about all the other people I've helped, what that would have cost society, would have like how many people I've employed and paid, and but I mean, it would have impacted. Well, it's more than that. It's more than that.
And it's just the start.
And it's just the start. This is we're only talking the last really 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's 5 years worth. If we compound that in the future, and if I say there's a cost to it, it's probably 100 million.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also I want to reflect on this too, because here's how I overcome those things because when you're positioned with, I've got to make a decision here to go down this road or that road. Most people think, well, I'm not going to make a decision, but that in itself is a decision. And so you're making a decision whether you say yes or no. You are. So like people that don't make decisions, they go into what's called drift. They just drift.
Yeah.
And if they drift, they end up getting into crisis. And once you're in crisis, the amount of effort and effort to get back up to decision making is huge. So for example, like had I not made the decision back then and I'd made it now, it's way harder 5 years later to go from there to there. It's hard. The jump is bigger. So you want to be in a position, I feel like being decisive to follow your heart and do things it's easier to do them earlier and do it. But at the same time, what I think to myself, and this happened to me when you challenged me on my 40th birthday, when you said, mate, come down and we'll do 40 rounds on your birthday. And to this day, it's still, I'll tell you what, to this day, it's still the most hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And we've done ultra marathons and other boxing fights and other things in my life, or bodybuilding competitions, whatever, CFA exams. I've done a lot of hard stuff. And that, to this day, is still most hugely the hardest thing I've ever done. So I'm going down to your house. You've asked me to come over. I'm going down to your house, and I know it's going to be hard. And I'm just like, my gut's just like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? Like, how? And now here's how I got through it. And this is how I also invested in you at the very beginning, too. I've got this thing. And I say, well, there's a chance here, Lloyd, where you can have the story to tell or not have the story to tell. So if you've got kids in the future, we don't have any kids yet, but when we have kids, do you either want to tell your son or your daughter that you did this hard thing, or do you not? You want to tell them you pussed out? And I have that conversation with myself. Do I want the story and the glory, or do I want the excuse and the like? And that's how I was like, I want the story, and this is going to suck. And now I went and did a podcast episode on it because I had the story. So when it came to investing in you that very first time back in 2019, when you said, mate, here's how much, I said to myself, do I want the money or do I want the story and the experience? And the reality is, I thought, well, I don't want any money. What's the point in the money? What's the point? What's it going to do? It's just going to sit in an account. What? I thought, this is the easiest. I want the adventure. Here, I'll give you money. You give me the adventure. Yeah. That's the deal, right? And I can tell you, I got a bargain. Yeah. I got the bargain because I've gone on this adventure with you that I could not possibly imagine. It would be 10 times. I should have paid 100 times that. So I got a good deal, but I didn't want the money.
But and that's the whole thing, isn't it? Like,
well, what's the point of having money?
Yeah. Well, to live an adventurous life. That's my take.
That's the only reason. I mean, I'd even say that's the reason why I like to have success around the wealth part, is because it enables me to do those things. Like, I mean, there's so many things that we've done that without having a little bit of cash, couldn't it? So, it's just so futile. If you look at wealth, and you teach this, in your will and everything like that, is a wealthy man is not just a man with money, because how many broke men in their spirit, in their families, have lots of money, but absolutely nothing else. They're empty. Someone said, I think once, some men are so broke, all they have is money. Oh, and I was like, oh my God, I want my wheel to be a balanced wealth paradigm. And a friend of mine I went to school with, he's made tens of millions, like 50 million, 100 million, lots. And he's just finished his second divorce. And he sent me this wheel and he said, this is accurate. And it had a wheel and it said on it, broke, and it had all this money and a little relationship, little spiritual, he said that's the, And then he said on the other side, it had like nice wealth, bit of wealth, family was good, like a balanced wheel. And he said, how accurate is this? Now he's learning that just now after been through all that. And he said, Lloyd, the other thing they don't show you in this picture. I said, what's that? He said, where the money part is. He said, that's just work in the office. He said, it's not even like you just get the money. You got to give up and then get the money. And he said, you sacrifice all this time for what purpose? So his whole paradigm shifting through 2 divorces. And he's only learning that now.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, had you had someone like yourself as a father figure or someone to mentor him back then, man, it would have just changed his whole life, So how to put a cost on it, I can't imagine. I mean, again, I have nightmares thinking, what happens if you never message me? No, I think, what would my life be like? What a sliding door moment, Or if I had not had the courage to say yes and it would have been attached to money. I just don't know.
I think, you say that, mate. I wonder for people watching this if it's a sliding door moment.
Well, of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So some will listen to this. Some won't even get to the end of this, right?
Yeah, that's
So
right.
Let's say the guys.
Hey, if you get this far in, congratulations.
Hey.
You're like the 1%. Yeah.
But,
you're doing it.
Like I don't know. I can't. It's obviously very clear. It's a bit difficult for me to put into words.
Yeah.
What would have happened if I slid the door the other way or never walked through it or whatever it might be? And this is what people grapple with because it's a faith step of, well, what's going to happen? What? And I like to think about this a lot. Well, I know what's going to happen in the end. We're all going to pass over to another life.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't get a second chance at life.
No.
You just don't. So there's this. The answer is now, and what do I do now? That's the only answer and response because I think if someone's specifically if they're watching this Q&A with us, this interview you're doing with me now, naturally, hopefully it's inspiring men to lean in and go. But we just get such a small amount of time on the earth. And you want to be able to count on countless fingers and toes how many adventures you've been on because at the end of your life, it doesn't matter how much money you got. It's irrelevant. It really is.
But I think, mate, one of the things that really, that has inspired me about you, after helping so many men over the years, that really your courage to take action is like second to none. And that's been probably one of the great things about spending time with you is that, man, no matter how high the bar may look, you grow into that. And like what we've done for you, so particularly with that boxing program, how there's more in you. We started adding rounds. We started taking away the end bell, and you just kept growing and growing. All of a sudden, everything. But really, and I think for a lot of men now, really how I've changed and developed over the years with helping men. Now, listen, finding that fight is really developing yourself for that purpose. That's the fight, becoming that man that you have to be to step through those ropes. But the rope is in very different areas. And now it's how do we actually monetize that mission, that purpose?
Wow.
And what you've been able to really execute is that. And I mean, even last week, mate, so many great guys. A guy flew over from California to spend a week with us and just working out. To me, it's simple, man. How he can monetize his talent and his gift. But it's really it's that identity, which I really believe is the shift that needs to happen, and meaning how you see yourself, where you've been open to those encouraging pokes in the chest. Man, there's more in you. Have you looked at this blind spot? And that's been, mate, it's been 11 out of 10 on your behalf.
Well, you've got this ability where you'll send something to me. Like I've had you send YouTube clip. I remember you sent me this one podcast episode. It was a preacher in Houston,
Yeah.
and you sent it to me as about transfers, and it's just stayed with me, like ingrained in me, and I've listened to it 10 times. And you've sent me a YouTube clip of someone where he shared a book. I went and grabbed it, I applied it, and it literally just transformed my business. And you sending, and I just, because I know when you send me something, it's extremely meaningful to you.
Yeah.
And because I respect and admire and love your thinking and how you are and love you, I'm like, well, if you're sending it to me, it must be very important. And I don't just like flick over reels for reel's sake. Like if you've sent me something, I'll take time to listen to it and watch it. And I think about it because if you've sent it to me, it's important. So and anyone who works with you gets to have that, which means there's a reason for it. And just those things you've sent me have just completely transformed my mindset. Like blown me away, you know? So I think it's that proximity that I enjoy the most, which is why we've carried on such a great friendship for so long, is because I think I just enjoy how you approach life, and I get to learn that way too. And look, going through the ropes between when you're out the ropes and going into the boxing ring, there's this moment, you know, cross the ropes. It's this moment where you have to have extreme courage, and as soon as you cross the ropes, the fear goes, and you're in action, and you're in this moment of combat, right? And so, taking that metaphor through the ropes, I've been able to go through the ropes in so many different areas of my life. Through the ropes in my faith when my wife and I got baptized. Through the ropes in physical challenges, obviously. Through the ropes in business. Through the ropes in a book. Through the ropes in events. Through the ropes in business partnerships. Go through the ropes. Like, go through the ropes. And most blokes are just stuck on the outside of the ropes. And there's someone like you going, come on, come through the ropes. And it's, but that's where the beauty, that's where it all is. That's where the masculine journey, that's where the masculine heart lies, inside the ring. And I love this quote that your son sent me, and I love it. And it just epitomes how you approach life, and how now I think I like to approach life anyway, is I'd rather be knocked out and booed by the crowd than be the crowd. And I think about that last boxing fight where I was not knocked out, but I was beaten in the last round because there was no bell at the end. It's like until, and I you know, and I just couldn't. I was just so spent. I had nothing left. Oh, I didn't think I had anything. And I remember I lost, but I much prefer to go through that and lose than be someone on the outside going, use your left. I wouldn't want to be that person.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So you've given me that you've given me that opportunity to be the person in the arena, you know, and I love to be that person. And that's where every bloke ought to be, in the arena, giving it his best shot, giving it his best shot. Because, as you said, going through the ropes means, you know, if we go out, like, I'm confident to look after my family. I'm confident to do business. Being in my best masculine self is best for everyone around me. Best for my wife, my family, my friends, my business acquaintances. The world is better for me because I am in my masculine self, like doing all the things. So you said to me, man needs three things: an adventure to go on, a battle to fight, an adventure to go on, and a woman to rescue. So most blokes can't rescue their wives because they're not fighting battles and they're not going on adventures.
That's right.
And so an adventure doesn't have to be a physical, like go to, you know, someplace overseas. But it can be write the book. That's an adventure.
Do something you've never done before.
Yes.
Something in yourself you've never created. It's never been done before.
Yes. And also the battle doesn't need to be in the boxing ring.
No.
I started a YouTube channel, and all these videos are going, some of them are going a bit viral, and I'm getting blokes fighting me in the comment. Like, there's a fight to be had there. And I say at the end of every video now, I say, you know what? Some of you are going to love me, some of you are going to hate me. But those of you who've got something to say, please leave it in the comments below. And if you want to fight me, fight me. I'll come and fight you back. But I still love you, but I'll fight you back. If you want to come put it in there. And so it's that ability to actually go, hang on a second.
Yeah.
No, like and so I think that has helped me drastically, because how many people are afraid of speaking up because they're afraid of the battle? But that's in us. We got to have the battle, you know. And I think I say this to people too. When I'm fearful of speaking up, but I do anyway because it reminds me of, I go through every comment and people are like, "You read them?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they go, "You want?" I said, "I reply to every single one of them." Right? And it's because you said to me, you know, uh, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. And I don't want to be nothing, and I'm sure the guys watching this don't want to be nothing.
Yeah.
So working with you gives you these principles to live by, these paradigms, these stories, these
Yeah.
frameworks that I
Yeah.
rely on every single day. And I'm not even out there to fight. I've had blokes say things. I say, listen, you're probably a good guy. Here's my number. Let's go for a coffee. Like it just makes me be the bigger man in
Yeah.
every scenario. And I think that's just so powerful to be that,
Yeah.
So
Well, that's what we're
all
talking
these,
about, leveling up. You're
yes,
hitting your family, your business, and your faith. And that's
that's
what
right.
you,
Yes.
yeah.
It's
So,
been incredible. Yeah. I mean, I could go on and
yeah.
on about it, but I
So,
think about it as a sliding door moment. What if I never said yes and did it? I mean, how would that impact my life and others around me? I can't even imagine. But I
yeah.
just do think this is to finish off for my part of this is this. Any chance I get where I have money or I can choose the adventure, I always choose that. And because I'm a project under construction. And I treat myself like that too. Like, what am I capable of? What can I achieve? And what can I help others around me achieve? Because when I get better, everyone else around me gets better too, and I can help other people. And that gives you a lot of self esteem and self confidence as a bloke, you know? So,
Well, I think that's really like we talk about leverage. That's how I've got a lot of leverage on myself. I think of all the people, like if I don't live my dream, that doesn't give other people that I love permission to live their dream.
how can
And
you
then,
even say it?
then it's just the ripple effect of everyone on purpose, on mission. That's how we change the
Yeah.
world.
Well, what is it great about you is that you 1000% walk your talk.
Yeah.
You walk it before you talk it, and even to the point where if you're incongruent, you're shifting very quickly to go. So, for example, um, you've always told your kids to live their dream, like live your dream, and they want to live their dream. And and when you move the family over to Malta, like how inspiring! You would have had every excuse. The kids are still in school. I've got dogs. My parents are here. Like all these excuses would have gone, but you still did it. And I just don't think people understand really how admirable that is to and courageous it is to take seven. Well, Jay was already, but six children.
There's 7 here at the moment.
There's seven there, and go to a place that
Yeah.
you really didn't like. What a
Never
bold,
been.
what a bold move. But that's why you're so good at. That's why you're the best at. Not even so good. You are the best at this because you're the only. You're one of the few people I know that absolutely congruently, authentically does what they teach. Truly, like there's just not many out there. And I think that's the beauty of it. So, what you see is what you get. And that's why it's great because I have excuses and I think, well, are they really, what am I doing? And I think it just having voices in, I have my dad in my head, you in my head, David in, other people, Jesus. I have people in my head thinking, well, what would that person do in this situation? And that's the beauty of what people would have if they work with you, they decide to do that, is you get to have you in your head. Now, some people are like, I don't know. But you do. Like, even I was caught up with a bloke here that you've worked with as well, and we joke around saying, like, mate, come on, there's more in you. Like, and it's using the things that you've taught us that we use on each other. And how
So,
good's that?
yeah.
They never leave you, you know?
No. So good,
So,
mate. Hey, listen, mate, I really appreciate taking the time. Everyone who is watching, can you leave us a comment and just tell me if you don't like him. Tell me if you want to fight him. Tell me what inspired you. Hey, listen, there are no silly questions. Whatever questions you have, put in the comments I think we covered a fair bit, mate. I want to say a massive thank you, and you deserve uh, all the achievements and all those achievements to come because I honestly believe, mate, in all my heart, you're just getting started. You're just getting started. You just built an amazing foundation to really launch off into the future. So, mate,
Oh,
which I won't talk about now, but I remember you telling me really what you wanted to do, and I know you're going to do it, mate. I know you're going to do it. So this is amazing foundation. So, mate, I want to say thank you for trusting me, believing in me, and taking action on what you had in your heart, because, man, it's just so good
well,
to be a part of each other's lives. It's amazing.
well, thanks for giving me the opportunity
Yeah, nah,
and
good
challenging
man.
me.
All right, mate. Let's go and change the world.
All right, come on.
Over and out.
See ya.